He arrived in London on a day when the sky seemed reluctant to let the sun shine through the thick veil of clouds. The city was alive but muted, as if holding its breath in anticipation of something greater than itself. Every step Ibrahim Traoré took on the cracked pavement echoed his resolve, steady yet humble. A man shaped by battles beyond mere politics, shaped by a homeland whose soil had been soaked in both sacrifice and hope. The airport's cold corridors smelled of recycled air, and distant coffee shops, voices fluttering in dozens of languages. To the crowds, he was a foreign dignitary, a visiting general with an accent thick as the African dust he carried in his bones. Yet inside him, a quiet storm brewed. The memories of a childhood marked by scarcity, the heavy burden of leadership, and the dreams of a better future for his people. His gaze was drawn to a small, weathered notebook in his jacket pocket, the only tangible keepsake from his father, filled with handwritten lessons of resilience and integrity. Outside, the city's pulse quickened, the sounds of double-decker, buses, the clang of the underground trains, the chatter of hurried pedestrians all blended into a symphony that was both alien and oddly comforting. The air smelled faintly of rain, wet stone, and the faint aroma of roasted chestnuts from a nearby street vendor. He paused for a moment to watch a group of children playing football in a nearby park. Brown-skinned boys and girls laughing and chasing the ball with wild abandon. It was a simple joy, but for Ibrahim it was a reminder of the innocence he fought to protect, a symbol of a future still unwritten. The hotel where he was to stay was a cold monolith of glass and steel, its polished floors reflecting a world of power and ambition. Eleanor Clark awaited him in the grand conference hall, her posture formal but her eyes betraying a flicker of curiosity. She had spent decades navigating the corridors of global diplomacy, her heart often hardened by the compromises demanded of her. Yet seeing Ibrahim, a young man from a land too often reduced to headlines of conflict, stirred something deep within, a hope perhaps, long buried beneath layers of cynicism. David Miller, the journalist assigned to cover Ibrahim's visit, watched, from the sidelines, camera poised, ready to capture whatever story might emerge. He was a man who thrived on uncovering the truth behind the polished speeches and carefully crafted narratives. To him, Ibrahim was a puzzle. Could this young leader, from a turbulent region, really change the course of history? Or was he just another idealist lost in the machinery of global politics? But Ibrahim's mind was far from headlines or photo ops. His heart carried the faces of the countless children and families he had seen suffer under the shadow of extremism and neglect. He remembered the day his village was attacked, the screams, the burning homes, and the silence that followed. Those memories were heavy, but they had forged within him a steel resolve to rise not just as a soldier, but as a beacon of hope for his people. In his pocket, the small wooden bird carved by a village elder felt warm against his fingers. It was fragile, yet it represented the possibility of flight, of freedom beyond the chains of history. When he stepped onto the stage to deliver his speech, the room was filled with polite applause and expectant eyes. He spoke not as a supplicant, asking for charity, but as a man demanding respect and partnership. His voice was calm, each word deliberate, weaving a narrative of dignity and self-reliance. He said, "We do not ask for pity. We ask for justice, for a partnership where our voices are not drowned out by the noise of politics but heard as equals, where our children's laughter is not silenced by fear, but echoed in the streets of every city, from Ouagadougou to London." There was a hush in the room, the kind that precedes change or collapse. David's question was sharp, cutting through the silence. How can the West trust a young military leader from a nation struggling with conflict and instability? Ibrahim's gaze was steady, unyielding. Trust is not given lightly. It is earned through honesty and courage. We have bled for peace. We have sacrificed for stability. Our scars tell stories that cannot be ignored. Days passed with meetings, formal dinners, and late-night discussions. One rainy afternoon, seeking solace from the relentless pace, Ibrahim wandered into a small art gallery nestled between towering skyscrapers. The walls were adorned with images of Africa, vivid portraits of life, struggle, and beauty. His eyes caught a faded photograph of a boy, worn but smiling, in a dusty village not unlike his own childhood home. The photographer's name was familiar, Eleanor, Clark's grandfather, a man whose legacy was entwined with the history of colonialism. The irony was bitter, yet undeniable. In that moment, Ibrahim saw reflected not only the wounds of the past but the possibility of reconciliation. When he shared his discovery with Eleanor later, her voice was heavy with unspoken regret. He believed he was a savior, she confessed. But he never saw the full cost of his actions. Ibrahim nodded slowly. The past cannot be undone, but the future can be shaped by those brave enough to face it honestly. The final night of the conference brought a gathering of diplomats, journalists, and activists. Ibrahim spoke from his core, no longer a guest, but a leader demanding change. Our futures are intertwined, but not as masters and subjects. We must build a world where dignity replaces dependency, where hope is not a favor, but a right, where Africa stands not in the shadow of others, but as a light unto itself. The room erupted not just in applause, but in a profound silence that followed, a silence that carried the weight of possibility. Eleanor stood, tears glistening in her eyes, her applause sincere and heartfelt. David lowered his camera, his skepticism replaced by a quiet reverence. Months later, Ibrahim returned home, the carved wooden bird still resting on his desk, its wings spread wide. The dawn over Ouagadougou was alive with the laughter of children, their dreams bright and unbroken. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it was a road filled with hope. If this story touched your heart, consider subscribing for more inspiring tales of hope, healing, and unexpected kindness. Hit the like button and share this with someone who needs it today.